Hello, and welcome everyone to BIA's Leading Local Insights podcast, where we focus on the trends, technologies, and activities driving local media advertising. I'm Mark Dugan, Director, Data Insights and Client Relations at BIA, and today I'm very pleased to host this podcast with my colleague, Nicole Ovadia, Vice President, Forecasting and Analysis. We're going to have a very interesting conversation about the mid-year forecast update BIA released in late June 2023. You may have read about our update in the trade press since it got a lot of coverage, and we know people have lots of questions as we all enter the second half of 2023. That's what we'll focus on today. Getting Nicole's perspective on what has changed since our original 2023 estimate and where local media sellers need to look in the next 6 months. Nicole was at the forefront of the analysis that went into the forecast update, so she has many great insights to share. Let's get started. Hi, Nicole. Let's start with the big picture. The questions about what is happening with the economy just don't seem to want to end. What are your thoughts on the state of the economy and where are we headed?
Hey, Mark, it is so great to be here. I'm very excited that we put out this updated forecast. I'm really excited to talk about it with you today, and I think your question is an excellent place to start. Before we can talk about what's going on with local advertising spending, we have to understand what's going on in the world around us. And the only thing that we're certain of right now is that there is a lot of uncertainty out there. First of all, we are and have been in a recession signal and warning for most of the first half of this year. It's weird. We won't officially know that we're in a recession until we're pretty much out of it, most likely. That's just the timing and semantics. But honestly, that doesn't even matter. What matters more is what people think. And right now, people are confused. They keep hearing the economy is in trouble, and they saw all of those prices rising significantly last year and earlier this year. But now things are starting to cool off a little bit. And, inflation isn't as bad as it once was. I had a friend text me yesterday telling me that she just found eggs for 75 cents on sale at Target. And remember when they were $10 like a year ago? So, that's an extreme deal, of course, but things are cooling off and people are noticing. So people seem to have higher incomes than they did a few years ago. Inflation is cooling off, and so people are starting to spend in spite of all of the noise that we're hearing about interest rates being too high and all of those things. I think this is a good scenario for advertisers. The important headlines that I'm focused on right now is that on average, consumers have money and prices are coming down.
Now that we have an idea of the macroeconomic factors, what can we expect for the rest of the year for local advertising? Has the forecast gone up or down this year compared to what we originally thought?
For 2023, we've adjusted our local advertising estimate down 2.4% from our original number, and we're now forecasting total local advertising spend to be about $161.7 billion. The good news is that if we take out political, 2023 is going to be $13 billion higher than 2019. So overall, local advertising has recovered and surpassed pre-pandemic levels. That being said, we did temper our digital growth expectations. You've heard a lot from Meta, Alphabet, and other digital companies that are tempering their expectations from advertising income specifically, not necessarily product launches, but ad income, which is what affects us the most. And so we've done the same with our expectations, tempering them mainly due to privacy concerns and the fact that some of these digital advertising channels, they're just not growing as quickly as they once were. It's not so much growth mode, it's maturity mode, and that's just a little bit different.
It's interesting to hear that digital's advertising growth is slowing down. When looking at the different media channels, is the overall advertising growth still driven by digital channels? If so, name a digital channel that will experience growth and one that may slow down in the next year.
Great question. You are so right to ask that, because every time I talk about digital slowing, I get nervous that people are like, oh no, it's, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just slowing. It's still faster than traditional. So digital is slowing, still growing faster than traditional. And I think that's important to peel back those layers and go deeper. So for example, OTT, CTV, massive opportunity. So we're forecasting $2.4 billion will be spent on this media. by local advertisers in 2023, and that's up 13.5% over 2022. And then 2024 with the election, the sky is the limit. So on the flip side, I'm really worried about social growth, especially next year. So many social sites are clamping down on advertising, and they're likely to make it more difficult for political to spend on their sites. So I think social media can often feel like a potential field of landmines for an advertiser, and a lot of them are finding other channels to reach their audiences. So that social is an interesting one to keep an eye on and see where it goes from here.
Turning to traditional media, Nicole, what can we expect for the channels like TV and radio?
Honestly, I expect consistency. I think that's a pretty wonderful thing too. So excluding political, for TV, for example, it's going to grow 4.1% this year compared to last year. And through now until 2027, I'm forecasting positive single-digit growth each of the next 3, 4, or 5 years. That's pretty healthy. Radio is more likely to be relatively flat or slightly down year over year, excluding political, for the next few years. So while I don't think traditional channels are going to offer massive opportunities for growth, I still think they're crucial to reaching local consumers, and that is not going to change anytime in the near future. Also, talking about those social media concerns I just mentioned, I really think this is an opportunity for local TV and radio to remind the world that they are seen as trusted sources for information and that they have significant influence over consumers in local markets. I mean, that's why people spend on social media, to reach those influencers and get their help in selling products. And so I think the questions around social media are an opportunity for traditional local TV and radio. Remind the world that you are the original influencers and get back out there and get those dollars.
Now, moving away from the media channels, let's go a bit deeper into BIA's forecast and talk about the business verticals. What caught your attention as you were going through the forecast process in terms of growth and declines? Are there any verticals that media outlets should be paying particular attention to this upcoming year?
Well, I guess I'm going to have to talk about auto first, because that's a big one, and we always talk about auto first. Overall, our forecast for auto didn't really change much. So it's down 0.1% compared to our previous update, which is essentially flat. But again, let's peel back layers, because the story is always a little more interesting than the surface level. And what we're seeing here is that the different tier spending is where the nuances lie. So far in the first half of 2023, it's been pretty good with tier 1 spending, especially on electric vehicles. Everyone's got a new EV. They're telling the world about it. And so far, we've seen about half of the new models have debuted already. And so that means in the back half, I'm expecting even more new product launches for these EVs and these manufacturers. And that speaks to tier 1 spending. Tier 3, because interest rates are so high and remain high, the Fed has said they're probably not going to keep raising them, but they also haven't indicated that they're going to start lowering anytime in the near future. So that's sent a lot of tier 3 auto ads into offering financing deals. As their inventory levels are back to healthy levels, they need to bring more clients in the door. And so I'm seeing some financing deals and ways in which to drum up more demand. So I think tier 2 is going to back off for the second half of 2023. We'll see more spending from them in 2024. But for the rest of 2023, auto will be driven by tier 1 and tier 3 in my mind. Other than that, other verticals, let's see. Travel and leisure, of course. We talked about all of the trips that people are taking, and I'm on my way to Amsterdam in the not too distant future. I think a lot of people are traveling abroad. So the Visit Floridas, all of those kind of hotels, motels, there's going to be a lot of growth there for the rest of 23. And also healthcare. That's another one to keep an eye on. Nursing, residential care facilities are growing tremendously in 2023. And so, those are the verticals I'm excited about this year.
Yeah, that excites me too. I can't wait to get on a vacation this summer. Great insight, Nicole. Let's end with the topic that everyone is wondering about, political. Has the political advertising spend changed much in the new forecast? I know I've seen that some states have already seen strong political advertising this year. And when can we expect to see 2024 political spending really hit its stride?
Wait. There's an election next year? Oh, you'd think somebody'd be talking about that. Okay. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Sorry. Bad joke. You are so right. Political has already started in some places, which is absolutely incredible to me. We did take up our forecast for political 24, and we're now expecting about 11.9 billion will be spent on local political advertising in 2024, which is up from 2020. It's up from 2022. Everything is up. We're also forecasting about $500 million will be spent in 2023, and that speaks to the earliness of the cycle. I think things are going to be noticeable starting in late fall of this year. And then really it depends on what market and what state and what race you're in. So the ads will run pretty much all year through 2024 until the general election in November. One thing I really want people to focus on is CTV and OTT. Spending will be up nearly 70% compared to 2020 levels. I believe a lot of the money that would have been spent on social will move over to OTT. And I also think that there are local races that are going to love CTV OTT because you can target at such a granular level. So think about, District 14 of San Antonio, whoever's running there doesn't necessarily want their ads on every station or every eyeball in San Antonio. They just need District 14, and so OTT CTV really allows them to target at that level, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that this year. It's going to be very exciting. It's going to be huge, and let's keep an eye on all the different races, from top of the ballot to bottom of the ballot. Everybody's going to have money from a lot of these candidates and parties, and so therefore there's a lot of opportunity here for 2024.
Nicole, thank you so much. It's a lot of great information there. Getting your insights on the updated forecast is extremely valuable as we all work to ensure for a successful second half of 2023. And I'd like to remind everyone listening that Nicole also publishes a monthly blog called Economic Pulse, where she offers a regular assessment of the economy and its effect on local advertising. The latest one also covers fascinating insights from her talk at the Radio Inc. Hispanic Conference that took place in mid-June in Miami. You can find it on BIA's blog, blog.bia.com. Finally, if you're a BIA Advantage or Media Access Pro client, you can find our full forecast updates on these platforms. I encourage you to go take a look, and our team is standing by if you have any questions. Thank you for joining us today for this Leading Local Insights podcast. If you have any thoughts about what we discussed today, or would like to hear how BIA could help you this year, we'd welcome a chance to talk with you. You can email our team at info@bia.com.